Hello, I'm Kirk Degiorgio, and welcome along to another in my tutorials for Sonic Academy. This is a much requested tutorial as to how to make the kind of hard techno you find in very famous clubs around the world. Maybe you're thinking of Room 2 in Fabric in London, or you're thinking of Berghain or the basement down in Tresor, the kind of popular, harder style of techno that's around at the moment, but is also very distinct from what many consider to be the older style hard techno, which is quite fast, very aggressive, lots of quite sort of harsh sounds. The dark room techno, as it's come to be known, is more of a deeper kind of sound. It's still very tough. It's still quite minimalistic in its production, but it still has like a musicality that I really like. And at my own event night called Machine, it's the predominant style of music, really. It ranges BPM wise from about 125 to even right up to 133. It seems to be getting faster these days. What I'm going to do is start off here. As you can see, I'm using Ableton, and I'm going to choose a common tempo 129. That's quite fast, obviously, but not as fast as some of the really crazy stuff. So I'm going to show you how to put together a darkroom style techno track. One of the reasons for doing this, apart from the requests I have for this style, is the amount of confusion there is when other styles of techno go online as tutorials. You often see comments, "This isn't real techno," or "This is tech house," or anything generally that has like a musicality is not considered techno, which considering techno's origins, its Detroit roots, which was very musical, it was like a kind of meeting of harmony, quite complex harmony at times, with a kind of new wave European sound as well as the Black American funk sound. It was merging together all those styles. So it's kind of ironic when you hear someone doing a melodic techno tutorial and people saying this isn't real techno, where, as a matter of fact, that is probably the most pure, genuine techno you can find. And the darkroom techno is more of a European offshoot of that, even though still two of its main proponents, again, are from Detroit. I would say Jeff Mills and Robert Hood are the ones who influenced this sound to a large degree. So anyway, enough of the introduction. Hopefully you won't get confused about what style of techno this is. It's going to be quite obvious. The other thing I'd like to say is that when I make this style of music, I usually use quite a bit of outboard. I have my modular here and various other little bits of kit. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to stay totally within the software. And also, I haven't prepared anything whatsoever. And I think this is quite important because one of the main criticisms of this style of music is that it's very formulaic. And there's even been accusations that many producers out there just maybe loop, half a bar of somebody else's track, kind of filter it down, disguise it, and then layer stuff over the top. And that's really not an original approach. It's not a very cool approach. I would try to ask you to steer away from that. It's especially tricky because one of the most difficult aspects of this sound is to get what they call the rumble. And the easiest way to get a rumble is to quickly find someone else's track, just take even if it's a quarter bar, just loop it and filter out all the harmonic content, so you're just left with a low rumble, and that you can adjust the pitch and have it fit your track. Again, I would discourage you from doing that. I don't think it's particularly cool. It's fairly lazy, and you can come up with, there are multiple different ways to get that rumble within techno, and I'm just going to experiment with the way I generally do it, although I don't have a specific formula as such. So here we go. I'm going to start with Sonic Academy's excellent Kick 2 plugin. And just to start off, I'm just going to do what's fairly simple for Kick. Okay, let's take the master volume down on here. And what I'll do, I'll just quickly choose one of the settings. I quite like these Umex. That's more of a kind of resonance sound, so we'll stick with this one here. And you'll see here the various pitch envelope. I'm going to lower this one, which is pitch A4, to get even more of a low rumble on that. We'll take that down as well. And play around with the clicks. You'll see the click length here. I think just a little bit of click, and that's a nice start. And what I like to do is, rather than just have a rigid 4/4, is to try and get that rhythmic rumble going. Lower these little fill kicks here. Now my approach to getting this rumble is to layer the events. So we have a nice kick there, but what I'm going to do is load up Machine by Native Instruments. And what I'm going to do, although it's quite a subby kick already, I'm going to do various things with it. So what I want is for a nice sort of sub sound to go underneath this, which is, after I've played around with various different techniques, we should be able to shape it into a nice rumble. So what I'm looking for here is a nice subby kick. So if I go into my samples for my drums, if I choose sub here, you'll see various kicks, and what I can do is just replicate that 4/4 and then try some of these. Here's some dubby kicks. There you go. I mean, it's already got a nice kind of reverby tail on that, but immediately it gives it that kind of clubby bass room, basement kind of sound that fits this kind of music perfectly. So what I'm going to do, like that, just as it is, that was lucky. That was the first choice there. Usually I have to play around for ages getting the right sound, but what we'll do, we'll mute Machine there, and we'll just just name this. Now I want to play with the two of them together. If I go to my original kick, this is the kick that I want to get some more kind of a mid-range kind of sound out of, but also emphasize more of the bottom end and merging together with that sub kick. I think that's going to be enough, to be honest. So one of the plugins I love to do this with is a really old plugin, actually, by modern standards. It's by Ohm Force. It's a crazy distortion plugin. It can get really crazy, as you can hear already. It's fantastic. It's got a really strange way of loading the presets. You generally click load here, and you should get a pop-up eventually. Here we go, and what I'm looking for, there's some really severe ones with drum and bass together, but we just want some drum ones. So let's choose something that maybe messes with filter and distortion. And what you have to get right on this plugin is what's going in and what's coming out. So I like to trim it just so you can hear the nature of the effect is already changing with as I back the trim off, which is quite nice. But let's go through these presets. There we go. That's exactly the kind of sound I was looking for. So what I quickly do, I would usually, of course, try and mess around with some more alternatives, but I'm going to do everything quite quick, really off the cuff in this tutorial, working much faster than I normally would. So what I'm doing now, I'm just going to balance up these. There we go. So now you'll see I'm getting those little kick fills are really subliminal. Record that. Here we go, it's a lovely kick sound. And all I have to do now is get rid of these. Now obviously we need the real kind of woody thud of the kick on top, so what I'll do for that, again, I usually reach for my outboard Roland drum machines, but I'll take one of the emulation kits. They're more than usable that Ableton comes with. I'll choose a kit here, kit 909, with a kind of Trezor type sound, and we want more of a traditional kick here. There we go. Now what I'm going to do, rather than merge those together like I did those other two kicks, it's nice to have them separate for now, so I can adjust the levels of my top half of the kick with the sub sort of material that's going on. So if I call that kick top, I'm very meticulous about my labeling, by the way. It would probably drive a lot of people mad, but it drives me mad if I don't do things like this. So M in brackets means that it's MIDI info, it's not an actual audio file. That really helps me remember what I'm dealing with. And then we go sub kick. Without the M, of course, because that is audio. Okay, so remarkably quickly, I have a really nice kind of kick sound here. Now what I'm going to do is very gently add some reverb. Now I usually like my kick drums quite dry, but this style of music really doesn't lend itself to that. But also you can really lose some of the punch by swamping the kick sound in a reverb, so you have to be quite careful. Right, okay, let's go for one of my favourite plugins here, Eventide's Black Hole, which is very unnatural, sort of exaggerated, huge sounding reverb, but it's absolutely perfect for this kind of sound. There we go. What I'm going to do is just bring the mix down. So we've got a very subtle effect, but it still adds to the whole kind of vibe of the track.
Thanks everybody for watching, commenting and indeed liking. We really do appreciate all the support we get here on our Sonic Academy YouTube channel. So if you found this video super useful, please, we'd love you to hit the subscribe button. We update the YouTube channel every week with new content, and if you want to watch some more relevant content, just click on the videos beside me.